Welcome back, Mega Brainiacs, to some live, authentic nerdery. I am Jean Michel, for anybody that does not know, and tonight I am very excited because I'm going to be talking to a very good friend, very good friend of the shop, and just one of the most delightful people that you could ever have the pleasure to talk to. Tonight we are going to be speaking with Alisa Kwitney, who is right here. Welcome.
Hey!
Hey, how
I've
you doing?
I'm gonna get my 70s on. I got my lip gloss.
Ooh, nice. And okay, so to give everybody a little
Dog.
tip on why that's happening. Oh, hello. How you doing? Who's
Yes.
that?
That's Rowan. He's smelling like a dead thing.
Hey there,
Well,
dead
dead.
thing Rowan, or smelling like a dead thing Rowan. Has he been chewing on mysterious things out in the yard?
He's been rolling in something. You've been rolling in something. Feh.
Well, oh, hello. Alisa glossed up 70s style because we're going to be talking about her new comic book that has come out from Ahoy Comics, which is Guilt.
Guilt. It's a guilty pleasure.
Yes, this beautiful comic book right here. We're gonna be talking about Guilt. We're also gonna be this is technically our first cocktails and comics segment, and so we're gonna be having some libations and talking comics. What are you drinking tonight?
What else could I possibly drink but a Manhattan? A very
Oh,
70s drink about a comic in New York in 1973.
very nice. So actually, let's start there. Okay, Guilt, like I said, from Hoy Comics, is written by you, Alisa Kwitney. It is illustrated by Morissette. The letter is Rob Steen, I
Yes.
believe,
Wonderful, Rob.
and also created by you and Morissette.
Yeah,
Correct?
we are the creators. We are responsible.
It's your fault.
It is a little bit Tom Pyre, the editor and publisher of Ahoy Comics, but yeah. By the
Well,
way, I have to point out it's really funny that my dog, who weighs about 80 pounds, he can't sit entirely in my lap, but I just
yeah.
want people to see he's just flung himself part way on my lap.
So Rowan thinks he's a lap dog.
Yeah, he's just hanging out here on my lap. It's really kind of okay. All right,
Hey,
there you
buddy.
go.
So, can you tell us what is Guilt about?
What is guilt about? So my classic thing that I've been saying is that it's Sex and the City meets the Golden Girls by way of the Twilight Zone. And
Oh,
for a while, the publicist was saying, "Can you say something else? Because you keep saying the same thing." I said, "Okay, let me think. Okay, it's Rosemary's Baby. If instead of focusing on Rosemary and the baby thing and Satan, it all focused on the weird witchy Ruth Gordon elderly neighbor character and Lara Louise. And people, unless you're like, this is a deep dive if you don't know your Rosemary's
that's
Baby really
deep
well.
cuts right there.
Lara Louise is the like nervous middle-aged knitting neighbor that follows Ruth Gordon around. She's got really thick glasses. Anyway, it's not perfect, but she's also the one at the end who's like rocking the devil baby a little bit.
Yeah. Oh my
Um,
god, I love that movie. I saw it at far too young an age, by the way.
Yeah, there's no wrong age for Rosemary's Baby. One of the things that I loved about Rosemary's Baby, very visual writing. The novel is as visual as the movie in its way,
Mhm,
and it has a spookiness both in terms of the building that's based on the Dakota,
mhm.
and also,
The Dakota from lots of fame, but also the tragic fame of John Lennon being assassinated out front.
yeah, so both a beautiful building and a building with a lot of dark history and That's part of the mythology that goes into Rosemary's Baby. I so I wanted a building like that. So I was looking for like witchy buildings on the Upper West Side. And I discovered
Yeah.
there's a building called the Level Club, which was built according to like the blueprint of King Solomon's temple, and it was built by theosophists. And by the way, theosophists were very cool people. Madame Blavatsky, they were into
What is a theosophist?
so it's a kind of, I'm probably going to put this really badly, and people who know better than I do will correct me, but it's got a combination of Buddhism and atheism and spiritualism all
Oh,
together.
cool.
And at first I thought like, oh my God, Madame Blavatsky and seances, and I was just going to make fun of it. And then I started to look up what the theosophists believed in, and I thought, oh, I actually can't disagree with that. So, so no disrespect to theosophists. Um, and I got to see this building on the Upper West Side right before the pandemic closed everything down. So I wanted to do, something that was very New York based in that. The old
Okay.
joke about the New York and the Upper West Side in particular is it's the world's biggest assisted living facility because you don't need a car. There's so much available, and people tend to, as we say, age in place.
Yes.
So you get, this feeling of a vertical village. And that's how I grew up. So I wanted to write a story about aging in place that was fun and frolicsome and yet kind of grounded. All the humor and the horror was grounded in stuff that felt kind of emotionally resonant.
That's really cool. So, a little sidebar after you said that.
Mhm.
Have you watched the TV show Murders in the Building?
I've watched
With
some of it. Yes, I've watched
Oh,
some of it.
okay. I won't say anything. I don't want to give any spoilers, but it's one of my favorite things from last year. It's so good.
I
And I was pleasantly surprised at how well Martin Short and Steve Martin like have kind of evolved their comedy. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of comedians when they get to a certain stature and certain age, like a lot of times it feels like they're just kind of ringing the same bell, but they really just like they just hit the mark really well.
I probably have to go back and give it another shot. I enjoyed it, but it's so strange with having so much content,
Yeah.
and you get a little distracted from something and suddenly you lose that momentum.
Yeah.
I have with a lot of things. I've been lately, so when I was researching this, I started to do weird deep dives into the 70s.
Mhm.
And one of the things, okay, so I'll just give the premise first so that we don't, and then I'll explain about
So then
airplane.
we can go on tangents.
Yes. So, so the idea that I had for this is that Hildy, who's a character who's partially based on my own mother, who was a journalist and wrote all about human sexuality in the 70s and was just irreverent and an iconoclast. And I wanted to combine her with B. Arthur, who played Dorothy on The Golden Girls, and she played Maud in
Oh
that
yeah.
classic Norman Lear sitcom. Lady Godiva was a freedom rider. She didn't care if the whole world looked. Anyway, that was Maud. If you guys don't know Maud,
My mother was her son's nanny for a while.
oh my God, how so many questions. What?
It's that's a whole other story. That's when you're
What?
interviewing me. But yeah, she back in the 60s when my mom moved to the suburbs, she got a job nannying B. Arthur's son Matthew and would walk him up the road in the afternoons to go play with Burgess Meredith's kid. Which that was
Oh
fun
my God, the things I have not known about you.
yeah, one of the many interesting adventures that my mom used to have. But
Vincent Price called my house, and my mom thought it was a prank call and hung up on him.
no.
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is not about the comic at all, but,
That's
yeah.
awesome and also heartbreaking. I hope he did he
And no,
call
he
back?
called back, he called
Okay,
back,
good.
said,
Good, good, good.
"I am not Richie." Yeah, my mom had this friend who just, like, do voices, and she thought, "I can't do a Vincent Price voice." Can you do a Vincent Price voice?
I can't do a Vincent Price. I would
May I
love to,
speak
like
to the
Vincent Price and what's his name from Hollywood Squares? Like
Paul Lynde?
two yeah, Paul Lynde. Two voices that like I would love to be able to do, but I can't.
I know someone who can do both of those and kind of, like, shift into, James Mason,
Ooh.
as
Oh, James Mason.
from yes, yes. But this is unavailable to me, unfortunately. I can just do bad, like, Irish accents. Anyway, um,
So
yes.
inspired by B. Arthur, you have Hildy, who named after Hildy.
Named after Rosalind Russell's character in, His Girl Friday, of
Okay,
course.
thought so.
So, I I was thinking about, so this was before the Sex and the City reboot, and I was thinking during pre-pandemic times about how the Golden Girls and Sex and the City, as it was in its 90s iteration, had a lot of overlap, had a lot of similarities,
Mhm.
and that both of them, to my mind, made a similar mistake, which is they thought like, oh, look, the main character's been looking for love these many years. Let's fulfill the audience's secret desire and have this character find true love. And there's something so inspirational to a writer about watching people get it wrong. You know, it's like, because that was not what we wanted. We
Well, I
didn't
mean,
want.
makes for a boring story.
It's not that. Okay, so this is my theory, and if people disagree, please, let me know. But my theory is when it comes to a sitcom, when it comes to anything that's, where you invited in to have like the versions of the same story,
Mhm.
you don't want it to end by resolving something. You want it to end by leaving you with the illusion that it goes on and on. You don't
Okay,
want
that makes sense.
doctors from MASH to go home. You want them to look forward to going home. You don't want the bar at Cheers to be sold. You want, them to always be able to go back there where somebody knew their damn name.
Yeah.
And you don't want Carrie or Dorothy, from the Golden Girls to leave. Christ, Dorothy leaves not only does she leave her friends who she's been living with, she leaves her mother. She like cedes her mother to her friend. It's
Yeah.
so weird for this guy. And
You don't want Jack to leave Janet and Chrissy, or I guess it would be
never, never,
Cindy,
never.
and go get married and live with his fiance's dad. Weird.
You certainly don't want the Ropers to spin off into some other weird program,
Good
short-lived.
God, no.
No, you want, I mean, I personally want Mrs. Roper and Jack to get together every Sunday,
Oh,
just on the
hello.
side. That was what I said.
James Mason says hello.
I think it's just like the opposite thing. But yeah, so I was thinking about that. And then I started to think about what it would have been like if Dorothy from the Golden Girls had regretted her decision. And from there, I thought about, okay, so what if, your apartment, so my mom has an apartment in the same building where I was raised, and there are these fire doors. It's like if you go out the back door, which is through the kitchen, it leads
Mhm.
into a back stairs, which are fire stairs. So there were
Okay.
fire escapes in buildings, in the,
Like
I can't
indoor
remember
fire
building.
escapes, essentially.
So yes, these are like indoor fire escapes, and I thought, oh, they're kind of weird. The back door into the fire stairs. It feels like its own weird compartment.
Mhm.
I thought, what if that were a portal? And then I started to talk with Tom Pyre about this idea, and he said, okay, just use time. Everything's been done with time travel. Just use it to tell the real story that you want to tell. And so I thought, okay, the way time travel is interesting for me is what I call temporalism, which is you don't go and visit Pompeii. You go back
Hmm.
into your own life, but not as an observer, because who the hell wants to go back, and at age 70 something and watch your younger self do
Make
whatever.
all the mistakes that you don't want them to.
Yeah, so when we imagine going back in time, we imagine being able to, relitigate the case.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, so this is how it works. You open the door when you step out, you are sucked back into the body, into that moment. So wherever your body was, in this case,
Oh,
4 years in the past, back to 1973.
quantum leapy time travel.
Yes. And so you are inside the body, a little dead man stuff too. You're in the body of your younger self, and your current consciousness displaces that earlier consciousness. So there you are, briefly, with your full consciousness, and this is how it's supposed to work. Okay. So
Okay.
these are the Kwitney rules of time travel. There you are back in 1973, and you want to be able to change things. If you, by the way, this is only the person who is the co-op owner of the apartment 15.
So,
The
so if
only
you have a
person
guest visiting,
they
then you
cannot do
can't.
it. No,
Okay.
nobody else. Just you. You are the licensed person.
Okay.
And so you go back into yourself. If you make any decisions that are too different from the decision you would have made back in the day,
Hmm.
the universe just kind of boots you out like a video game. It's just like reset.
Oh, so you made the wrong choice.
It's
So,
too different. You would have changed too much. The universe has a fail safe.
okay.
Um, but the longer you spend in the past, the more if you're 30 something or if you're 9 years old, that body and that consciousness begins to affect you. And the zeitgeist begins to affect you. And you become less and less able to affect those changes.
So you almost start to seep back into
Oh, yeah.
that
You become who you
set
were.
reality. Yeah.
And think about how hard it is. How many times have you said, this is it? I'm not going to wake up in the middle of the night and start eating granola because that's the wrong thing to do. Or, whatever it is that you've been trying to, from
And
now
by
on.
granola, you mean bourbon, right?
Yeah, yes. Granola, bourbon,
Yeah.
and you think you're going to, change, and you can have these ideas, what you ought to be doing. It's so much harder to implement them than to do. And it's the same with the past. All right.
Now,
Yeah.
is there some sort of ticking clock on this? Like, are
Oh,
you
yeah. So
not
time,
allowed to stay in there?
you're not. And then time passes in the past as well as the future. This is not like Russian doll where it keeps looping. You go
Yeah.
back 44 years in the past, and time keeps passing in the past as in the present. So, so Hildy wants to go back to her wedding day and not marry the man she's going to marry.
Oh, wow.
And she's been leading up to this. She's been trying to break up with him and not, but the problem is, just like anyone who's tried to quit smoking or stop eating chocolate or, not eat granola in the middle of the night, she keeps trying and she keeps screwing it up. And
Okay.
this is her, last chance. It is the wedding day. And this is the day when her nephew has arranged for her to have a home health care aide. And the home health care aide arrives, and Hildy does not want her, doesn't think she needs her. And Trista, the home health care aide,
Good
she's,
name, by the way.
thank you. She's from the Bill Murray School of Employees. She is trying to do the bare minimum and just get that paycheck and go home. She is a chronic screw up. We learn that she's had some other careers, including she was a journalist. And later on, we'll find out she was kind of con artist. But
Okay,
she's
not too many. Don't give any spoilers away because we want everybody to pick this up
Yeah.
and read it. And
Oh,
yeah.
yes. Okay, no more spoilers than that, but you're just gonna find out. I mean, when you meet her, you won't be surprised by that. But, what happens is I mean, I think this is a little bit of a spoiler, but I think it's worth it that they end
Okay.
up. It's kind of it's kind of in the trailer, as it were, that
Okay.
they both end up going back to 1973 together. They go together, which is breaking all the rules of time travel,
Okay.
and they
And wackiness ensues.
yeah. So here's the thing: they go back, and now Trista would be 9 years old in 1973.
Oh yeah.
So
So
she's going back in time.
she's a middle-aged woman in a 9-year-old body.
Yes. And now she would go back to wherever her body was, right? In
Yeah.
1973. It turns out she and Hildy met each other on that day in 1973. They did
Oh,
not.
weird.
There is weirdness.
All right, I like it. Intriguing. I have to admit I haven't read it yet because I just went to the shop today and picked up this copy. By the way, there's for anybody watching, there are 2 covers that we have actually available on our websites.
Oh, so that's a variant. So this was a wonderful thing that Ahoy did. So the cover with the faces in close, that's Morissette.
This is
That's
cover A.
collaborator, and the other one is by Jill Thompson, the wonderful Sandman artist, someone I've known since the 90s, just fabulous artist. And
Cover B, the incentive cover, variant
cover, yes.
Yeah. And yeah, so I was gonna read this tonight as before I drift off. So I'm very excited to read that. And you mentioned Morissette. Can you tell us a little bit about Morissette and what it was like working on the comic with him? And
I'm going to show some of the art. Is that
oh yeah,
okay?
yeah, please do. And also you guys created this together, so maybe talk a bit on what that process was like.
Well, first of all, I drove him insane, as you can see. Can you imagine? This is written full
That's a lot of
script.
details in
So,
an
I mean,
apartment.
I could read that to you, like how much description there was. I think yeah, that was a lot. And there's just, I love to be immersive and nothing there. There are things that there's questions too. Hold on.
Oh, this is just the question that I asked you.
Oh, okay.
So that if anybody pops in, they know what we're talking about. Gorgeous. Really, just really talented.
So here's the story of Alan. Alan's his real first name, Morissette is sort of like his stage name.
His stage name.
So we were fixed up as a arranged match on Mystic U.
An arranged comic book marriage.
We were in arranged comic book marriage in 2015 on Mystic U. And that's not Alan. That is Mike Norton, who's also a fabulous artist. But I'll tell the whole.
But I just wanted to. This is Mystic U for anyone that.
Mystic U. So, Alan and I were this was when DC was moving from the East Coast to the West Coast.
Oh yeah, I remember
that iteration of Mystic U it got bogged down with all kinds of bureaucracy, and in the end, it just didn't happen.
Oh,
and then
sucks.
DC kept I was working with Mike Norton on Mystic U, and Alan was working on Harley Quinn with Jimmy Palmiotti.
Nice.
Doing
great series.
Yes, and then he did Dastardly and Muttley with Garth Ennis.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so he was busy. We were doing other things, but we never stopped talking. And in early 2015, when we first got matched up together, the editors were all going insane because they were moving, not, just offices, but lives from East Coast to West Coast. And so since I had been an editor at DC, I ended up stepping in And, Alan was an artist who wanted more interaction, wanted to know what the hell was going on. And so so we ended up talking. And the more we talked, the more we found this nice affinity. And so after he left, we just kept saying, we're going to find another way to work together. And eventually we did. I should have it here to hand. I don't. I think it's Snifter of Terror. Well, first we did Femme Magnifique together. Shelley Bond, my former colleague, was doing an anthology. And so he and I did two. We did one story together, which was on Carrie Fisher. And then we did a Snifter of Terror Edgar Allan Poe story, which was really wonderfully disgusting, about teeth. And but we kept talking. Our goal was to work on something longer and to work on something creator owned. And so by the time we started working on this, we'd been talking to each other really regularly for 6 years. So that was, it's very different relationship
Nice.
than we would have had we been working on Mystic U back in the beginning.
Yeah. So how long have you been working with Ahoy now? It's been like probably what, like 4 or 5 years now or more?
No, I mean, the only thing I did was that little Snifter of Terror story. And
Oh, I thought you did like 2. Oh, wait, no. Rachel did a couple. I'm sorry. Rachel Pollack did a couple of
yes,
Snifter
yes.
stories. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I only did one. But it was really fun. I
Yeah.
loved doing it. And then this got greenlit I think in 2019. But just, the pandemic made everything a bit more
Yeah.
difficult,
As it does.
as it does.
As
And
it did and does
as it
continue
didn't does,
to.
so at the beginning of the pandemic, I was working on my Rogue book. I have my Rogue book here. Bum, bum, bum.
Oh, I should have grabbed one to
So I
there we
was
go.
working on this prose novel about Rogue, which was supposed to be like a really quick thing, but the pandemic complicated my life in ways that I don't have to go into, and so that took longer, and everything got delayed. But
Okay. So all right, so you and Morissette finally kind of
yeah,
got in the saddle, as it would be, with this. Now in Guilt, I mean, it sounds like you have a lot of different versions of a couple of different people, and I can only imagine the people surrounding them in the different timelines are probably I'm guessing a little
yes,
interesting. Who's your favorite character that you wrote in this?
yeah. I mean, Hildy in some ways is my favorite, and then I go back and forth between Hildy and Trista.
Yeah.
But my most surprising character is another character where, oh, I don't want to do spoilers, but there is a minor character who's only mentioned in the first issue,
Where
and
does this character pop up? Like,
he's, oh God, it's I'm trying to think of how to say this. Okay, so Hildy's fiance, um, and other characters connected with Trista,
okay.
like there, I kept weaving people in,
How
and
about
then
this?
there's, yes,
To give readers an idea of when they've hit this character, would giving their name be a spoiler?
um, a little bit, but here I've
Oh,
got
okay.
this instead. Okay, so this is the doorman to the Bellicent.
Here, wait, I'm gonna full screen you. Wait, can I full screen you? There we go. Okay.
That's Edwin. That's the doorman to the Bellicent.
Hello, Edwin.
And I can just say that he started out, I thought he was going to be, just a spooky doorman.
Hmm.
And then it became clear that he was so much more. And all the characters, there are many other characters where like everything just kept connecting and connecting in all these weird ways.
So he went
Um,
from being Lurch to Lorenzo Music.
who is Lorenzo? I'm so ignorant. I don't know.
Who is it? The doorman from, was it Maud? You never actually saw him. You just heard his voice.
That was
Or am I
Rhoda.
thinking?
That
Oh
was
wait,
Rhoda.
no. Yeah, that's Rhoda. Oh, sorry.
Hello, this is Carlton, your doorman.
Yeah.
So- Sorry for all of you who were not
Sorry.
watching TV in the 70s. This is a deep dive. Um, there was this drunk doorman called Carlton from the series Rhoda. Um, and Rhoda was a spin-off of the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Yes. For younger people who didn't watch Rhoda, you would know Lorenzo Music's voice because he voiced Garfield in all the Garfield cartoons, and
Oh,
he also voiced Peter Venkman in the real Ghostbusters cartoon. So he's a very distinct voice.
wow. Okay. So yes, so
Sorry, sidebar.
that was a wonderful sidebar. But yes, so there are almost no, I don't think there are any throwaway characters in this.
Okay. Well, I am excited to meet Carl. Wait, not Carl. What is his name?
Edwin.
Edwin. You got me on Carl. All right, cool. Well, this sounds like a lot of fun. I'm a sucker for time travel stories. And then once you kind of started explaining it, and then I got, the quantum leapiness of it all. That was one of my favorite TV shows of like all time. So I'm like really excited to dig into this.
Nice.
Um so, but actually, before we move on to the next question, so, some light housekeeping, just so anybody watching, anybody interested who wants to read this, both of these issue one covers are available at megabraincomics.com, and if you order them from us, uh, Alisa Kwitney herself will sign your copy and it will go right to your door so that you can read it. And not only that, but some lucky person that buys it, random person, is also going to win a signed bundle of Mystic You. Each one signed by this very woman in front of you right now.
And I want to say that I discovered really late in life that real authors have like special signatures. So you're supposed to
Oh,
have one signature for your traveler's checks, which I realize people don't have anymore, and another for, so I'm, yeah, I don't think I really have another. By the way, I'm just loving the comments. Donna Mortensen says, "Oh my gosh, Carlton the doorman."
um so yeah, so anybody can feel free to get themselves a copy and read Guilt and get all five. It's 5 issues, right?
Yes, 5 issues.
So keep up for 5 issues, get the whole story. Now, Guilt aside, you are working on something else which I am a huge fan of. You started your own podcast last year.
Yes.
Can you tell us what is it called? What is it about?
Okay, so it's called Endless, a Sandman podcast, and it's me and wait, I've got my audio visual
Ooh,
romp.
audio visual.
Visual. This is, I'm doing it with Lonnie Diane Rich, who's just a wonderful, she teaches on the college level, she teaches story and screenplay writing. She's written this wonderful and deliciously slim book because I find like a lot of books,
What is what is it called? I think it's
it's called,
reversed. I'm
oh, sorry, How Story Works, or,
oh cool.
Wa Irat Grau.
um and yeah, and she
That's my
is
Hannah impression.
oh very nice.
um,
I
so
wonder what spell you just did by reading that.
everyone who heard that will now be a better writer.
Ooh, good times.
So yeah, so Lonnie's new to comics, new to the Sandman. I am old to comics and old to the Sandman.
By
And
what do you mean, Alisa? Like, why do you know about Sandman?
why do I? And why do I have these things? See, I've got toys from the 90s.
I did not know that they made Sandman action figures, actually.
I love this. Look at this. There's a little skull and a little rose.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Oh, so yeah.
And
So
I
I
like your little Andorra pop behind you.
yes. Oh, although this is one of my favorite mega things. This is nothing to do with anything except that I love it. Um. Okay. Uh. So what the hell was I telling you? Okay.
I was asking you, why would you, of all people, be
I
on a
I
Sandman podcast?
I worked on the Sandman. I was assistant
The
editor
devil,
after
you
Tom
say.
Fire on the Sandman. Indeed, I was back in the 90s, which were, a reprise of the 70s in so many ways. And reprise? Anyway, yes. So I'm revisiting, rereading, and also talking about having worked on the Sandman. And I'm rereading some of the original scripts and talking about that. And then right now we're on hiatus. You can reread with us, and then we're going to come back and talk about the Netflix series
Which I
coming.
cannot wait for that to hit. But
Yes.
I have to say, I'm like thoroughly enjoying the podcast, because I think because of the dynamic between, but aside from the fact that you're both very magnetic speakers,
Mm.
but the fact that Lonnie is new to comics, and the
Mm.
fact that you are so like inside baseball of comics and of this particular comic, the conversations kind of give you everything that you want sort of out of this, like every, like, you get the I'm new to Sandman, I don't know about this perspective, but you also get the, oh, you'll never believe what happened when we were, working on that issue, and it's so fun. So anybody that's interested in the Sandman, whether it's the TV show or the comics or both, if you've never read the comics, you should, because one of the greatest, not even one of the greatest comic books, just one of the greatest stories ever created. You should definitely go and subscribe to the Endless podcast, because it's big fun.
I mean,
uh,
one of the things that's so cool about the Sandman is how much it is a conversation about writing and ideas, and yet, in this wonderfully palatable way. I mean, I think it's sort of it's highbrow and pop culture all at once,
yeah,
which is yummy.
highbrow pop culture, and also I remember it was the first comic book that I read where I was like, this is like, it's not just it is weird. Like, I had read underground comics and alternative comics, but there's like, it's like the dictionary definition of weird. There are things in it that you're like, that is just so
What is the dictionary definition of weird? Do I even know?
Sandman.
Yeah,
Actually, I
okay,
don't know.
there it is. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming that when you go in the dictionary and look up weird, that you get this comic book that like kind of takes you on like just one of the weirdest journeys that you could ever go on, but also satisfying. So yeah,
Well, one of the things that I really enjoyed about rereading it too is that, I see things differently. There are issues that I loved and I still love, but I see them differently. And others, like the one with Element, is it Element Girl?
yeah,
Element Element Woman? Anyway, I think that it didn't speak to me as much in my 20s as it does now because it's so much about mortality. Anyway,
yeah.
but not to be
Yeah,
scary.
I feel like the violence of the series, and it's not like gratuitous violence for anybody that's never experienced it.
Yeah.
But like the violence in it when I originally read it felt different,
Mm.
and kind of meant different things, and kind of now with like all of this crap happening and children sleeping upstairs and things like that, the violence in it sort of takes on a new, Like it's recontextualized, like now that I've
Yeah.
grown up a bit,
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
little.
I well, I mean, in general, I like my horror to be leavened with things. I'm not I'm like one of those people, like if chocolate is too much just chocolate, I don't like it. I need it to be, dark, but with some raspberry, a little crunchy.
Yeah,
And that's how I feel about horror. And there's like absolutely raspberry and crunchy bits in the horror.
yeah.
Man.
That's a good way to put it. I love that.
Thank you.
So okay, um,
I finished
that,
my
that
Manhattan insight.
that's what we got for you. Well, this was a lot of fun. Um, can you, Sandman and comic writing aside, is there anything that you've had time to sort of enjoy that has nothing to do with work, just like stuff that you're geeking out on? Like, what are you really
Always.
enjoying right now?
Always. Let's see. Okay, so I brought my things that I'm reading. So I'm reading 9 Rules for Romancing a Rake, which is really fun by Sarah McLean. I'm
Nice.
also reading the Book of the Most Precious Substance, which is sort of part psychological thriller, parts sex occult. It's really
Whoops,
good.
that's the wrong one.
Um,
There we go.
by Sarah Gran. I am also reading some wonderful,
Ooh,
yes.
is that
Uh,
EC horror?
no, that's DC.
Oh,
That's DC.
DC horror.
House of Mystery. And of course, I've got a bunch. You've got this wonderful selection of vintage comics. And so I have been reading, let's see,
Oh, you picked up some of the romance
wonderful
comics. I forgot about that.
let's see.
Well, you are really gonna love the collection that we just acquired.
Oh,
There's a lot of vintage romance comics in it, but there's also some very cool Bernie Wrights and stuff in it too.
oh God, romance and horror are my favorite flavors. And the
Aren't
other
aren't they
thing,
kind of the same thing sometimes?
only when I'm very lucky, they come together. Um, and the other thing that I've just discovered is that Richard Thompson, the amazing virtuoso guitarist, he was part of, what is it, oh God, I'm spacing out,
Fairport Convention.
Fairport Convention, thank
Yep.
you, did a version of Oops, I Did It Again that really has to be heard to be fully appreciated.
That is one of the strangest sentences I've heard probably all year, I want to say.
It's, for me, that is like anytime high and low come together.
Yeah.
What about
I
you? What are you like? You need to tell me what I should be watching, reading.
actually right now the biggest thing that I'm geeking out on is probably the new season of Picard, Star Trek Picard.
Ooh.
I was
Is that on Paramount or
yeah,
Amazon or okay.
yeah, the
I'm on
the
Paramount
the
because
most dis what's
I
that?
get to obsess with Old Love Boat. And I'm watching like a
Oh,
really strange Old Love Boat where Isaac has been replaced by like a demented robot.
oh, I don't remember that.
No, I think it jumped the shark at that point.
Oh, see, so when I was working back in, I was a stagehand for a long while, and when I first got into that, my brain started just buzzing with like, oh, you know what else they could do as a musical, and for years I've just always thought The Love Boat would make the perfect Broadway musical because you could have your core cast of ship staff,
Yeah.
but then once a month you change out your ship's guests and you could have this rotating cast of just celebrities from like music, TV, film,
Yes.
Broadway,
Oh my
and
God.
just have and so the stories
Yes.
constantly changing every month, but it's still the same story. You know what I mean?
This is why I adore you because okay, so the other thing which you know about me, but not everyone does, is that The Poseidon Adventure is my all-time
Yeah.
favorite movie. I have not one, but like two different pieces of Poseidon Adventure art on my walls. And yeah, I'm really obsessed with the Poseidon Adventure. So I have always wanted to, cross the love boat with the Poseidon Adventure.
That crossed the Love Boat with the Poseidon Adventure and Fantasy Island, which they did.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
This is what somebody's just yes. Yeah, Bill Cope thinks that's a brilliant idea.
Thanks, Bill. Sorry, I was so enwrapped in conversation with you that I totally missed everybody's chats. I'm sorry. I'm getting very new to the whole live streaming thing, so the um
Let me see if anyone else.
the
Oh,
multitasking of it all. Oh,
aw. So yeah, I'm just looking through.
up, Tyler
Oh,
pre-ordered a signed copy. Thank you, Tyler.
excellent. And Jeremy Fulton says Carlton had an animated primetime pilot. Damn.
What? Really?
Yes.
Weird. I'm gonna have to look that up.
There are unknown depths in in pop culture. Well, I'm sorry. I know we can't stay on forever. This has been so
This
wonderful.
It's always like a ton of fun just talking to you. At some point we should do something in person, also with cocktails.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, after my day of like, sump pumps in my basement after a big rainstorm, this is a chat with you and a glass of bourbon was exactly what I needed tonight.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Oh, and thank you to everybody who showed up here and
Yeah.
hopefully was virtually sharing a drink as well.
And for anybody that wants to learn more about Alisa, you can go to her website, alisakwitney.com, and you'll see all kinds of fun stuff there and, find out about all her goings ons.
All my goings on and what on Twitter, I'm at a Quitney. Um,
Instagram?
I'm K Witty on Instagram, and the I so far I've only been posting embarrassing bits of art from. I'm doing the art with Visual Arts Passage. They have a free online drawing on Thursdays, 7
Oh,
p.m.
cool. Oh,
And
yeah, that's right. You were telling me about that.
yeah, so I've got some really I'm not an artist, so this is just me trying to learn to draw at the age of whatever I am.
You are an artist of many different stripes.
Thank you.
You're just extremely humble is what you are.
I'm not, and that's why I didn't post the picture of my parakeet last night.
You have a parakeet?
No, they were drawing
Oh, okay.
and I drew a parakeet that looked like a fly alien monstrosity.
I would like to see that. But for
But
another time.
another time.
Everybody, thank you for joining us again here for Mega Brain's live authentic nerdery. Yeah, for anybody out there, you can go to Alisa's website, alisakwitney.com, go to our website, megabraincomics.com. We're on all the social meds, as the kids call it. And until next time. Oh, and one last thing for anybody local, the Upstate Films here in Rhinebeck, New York, tomorrow is having a matinee of Kiki's Delivery Service, and I will be there in the lobby selling lots of like fun Studio Ghibli books and keepsakes and things like that. So stop in with the kids. And until next time, we'll see you later.